welcome. We are back with another episode. West Indies taking on Australia, second test match, and it's looking much better for the West Indies. We have with us here our expert analyst, Davian is in the house. Davian, welcome.
Right. Thank you for having me, Ronaldo. It's a pleasure to be here as usual.
Your take so far on the second test, West Indies setting Australia 200 and little bit, and so far, we've taken 2 wickets. Australia still need 150 plus runs. Your thoughts so far?
All right. So from the first test match, comparing first test match to second test match, we've seen a big improvement with the batting. The batting, wow, to post 300 plus against a world class attack, that's really commendable. However, the trend of we batting way worse in second innings compared to first innings is continuing because we made 311 in the first innings. I did not expect them to make another 300 plus score, but I expected them to make to at least make between 230 to 250 runs. But I mean, and then the bowling, we were short a bowler. Shamar Joseph was injured by a ripping Mitchell Stark Yorker.
Don't
So
crush in Yaka, yeah.
right. And to be honest, Shamar Joseph is the X factor in our bowling. So if Shamar Joseph was bowling when West Indies started to defend, Australia would have definitely lost more than 2 wickets.
Whoa, that's a big statement there.
Right, right.
All right, now let's chop it up. Let's get straight into it. So, all right, now before we actually get into a holistic view, we have to start and break it down from the first innings. From the first innings where we made 311, you said you were very happy, right, to see us getting over 300. But if we walk through the innings at one point, I think we were 64 for 5. So
Right.
so let's talk about that. I want to hear your overall assessment of our batting in the first inning, starting from the openers to in the middle with Haja and Da Silva to the tail to the newbie. Kevin Sinclair debut 50 looking brilliant. So talk us through the batting.
All right.
First innings.
First innings, I'm very disappointed with how Craig Brathwaite and Tajana Shannon are batting. They are way better batters than that. They can play their shots. They're too way too they're way too defensive in their batting. I mean, they're not looking to score. And I've seen where when the bowlers bowl boundary deliveries, they're missing out. They're not putting no form of pressure on the bowlers. So if we're going to continue with Kirk Brathwaite and Tadjana Shanapal the next series, one of them has to be more attacking. If we see where none of them be more attacking, where Kirk Brathwaite is the captain, then Tadjana Shanapal has to be rested. I want to say drop, rested, and then we choose a more attacking batter. Kurt McKenzie, wow, he's surely batting with intent. He has all the shots in the book. What he needs to work on, how to build an innings. So how he gets out is the inability to build an innings from start to end. Once he knows how to build an innings, he's going to be a world class batter. Alec Alzanaz, well, his struggle continues for him. We've seen improvement in the second innings. We're focused on first innings, but Hodge and Joshua De Silva, they batted really well. A pity none of them couldn't really kick on to make a century. So that is what separates good batters from great batters. Great batters, once they get the start, they dig in deep and let bowlers pay. So that is where Joshua De Silva and Hodge who need to improve on, get a start, you continue. I'm very impressed with Kevin Sinclair. Wow, he made a half century against quality bowling attack. It shows that the performances he plays in the A series basically carry merit. Because remember, he single-handedly won us a game against South Africa A. So he shows class with the bats. And Azar Joseph played an excellent counter-attacking innings. What the first innings showed, and other teams are watching, to beat Australia, you have to play with intent. You have to play with intent. Yes, the borders are quality, but you can focus so much on batting out deliveries. You have to focus on scoring runs because the bowlers are very fit, and if you allow them to bowl at you too long, they will work you over. So that basically strategy does not work against Australian bowlers trying to wear them down. Yeah, you won't wear them down, they will wear you down.
Definitely, I agree 100% because looking at it, Tajan Ryan would have tried this nudging and it's not working. It didn't work against even Cricket Australia's 11. It's not gonna work against Australia. So yeah, Tajan Ryan and Craig, it's just unfortunate that both of them were, I guess, out of form at the same time because I think Craig Brathwaite, even though this is the type of innings he would play at that slow rate, but I think we would have gotten bigger scores from him. But he just seems to be out of touch. What do you think? Do you think Craig is out of form?
I think it's more Australian bowlers figuring out what to bowl to him and what not to bowl to him. Yeah, I really think it's more of that case of him being out of form.
All right. So you're
They-
saying it's
they-
not that he's out of form, it's just that they've worked out where to
You're right.
bowl.
You're right. I delivered a Pat Cummins bowl to Craig Brathwaite, and they basically replayed that same delivery last year. Same delivery, a delivery that swings in, it straightens, and hits the top of off. So yeah, they have yeah. So that is more the case of them knowing what to bowl and what not to bowl than him being out of form.
All right, definitely, definitely. No problem. All right, now yeah, you already expressed your praise for Da Silva and Hodge and how it was very unfortunate that none of them were able to carry on to get a century. But we got three batsmen scoring 50s, and none of them bat in the top four. Usually you hear that if you want to win a test match, especially away, one of your top four batters need to score a big half century or a century. Do you think it's concerning that yes, Kirk McKenzie showed promise and we're happy for that, but he didn't kick on. Athane is batting at four. I don't know if he's out of form, but he hasn't looked the best, or he hasn't looked how he looked in the first class season. And of course, our openers were dreadful. So your thoughts on our top four, since none of them are really kicking on in the first innings. Your assessment of the top four in general. Can we say this is our top four going forward? Looking forward to the England series. Any persons who could watch out for in the upcoming 4-day championship? Do you think then Shea Hope and Darren Bravo could still get a look in? Just overall, your assessment of the top four and anything related to the top four that you'd like to see some changes with.
The thing with the top four, Craig Brathwaite has to be there.
Yeah,
So
he's a
we
captain, no
I would
problem.
want his cameo has to be there. But I'm looking at Shea Hope, right, to replace. I would say Kirk McKenzie has to stay. I mean he's playing with intent. I mean he's giving runs. Right. So he's there. I like having someone in my top four who is very positive with their batting. It's very, very important. Very, very important. If you lose 2 or 3 wickets, we know someone's going to take the attack to the bowler. So Kirk McKenzie has to stay. Shea Hope, think about Shea Hope also. And this guy don't know what Mackenzie, this was Zachary Mackenzie, his name?
Zachary McCaskey?
He McCaskey, right. He was in top order, right?
Yeah, he's an opener.
Right. So I'll be looking at how he performs in the next 4 day regional competition. If he performs, then I'll give him opportunity to open.
I'm gonna
So
pose a question for you.
right,
Let's say, for example, gonna pose three scenarios for you. Scenario number one, let's
right.
say Paul is the leading run scorer in our regional 4D, right? And he outscores every other opener by a mile. But given that his last few international series were not successful, would you still see West Indies taking Paul to England? Or would you take Paul to England?
Wow. They say when they're making decisions, they go by statistics. But personally, I would look at the scenario. Scenario, when I'm assessing his performance, number one, what is his strike rate? If he's striking between 30 to 40, I will not carry him. Why? Because when Kirk Brathwaite makes runs, that is where he does the strike rate. That's number one. Number two, I'm looking at his mode of dismissal. England is a swinging, is a pitch where ball will swing and seam. So if how he gets out is a reason due to technical flaws, then I would not carry him. So looking at strike rate and also looking at mode of dismissal when he gets out.
Definitely. I like that. I like that response. Now, my second scenario now is what if, let's say, I'm going to be biased here. I'm
Right.
looking forward to seeing Zachary McCaskey or even a recall for Kyron Powell. But let's say Kyron Powell or Zachary McCaskey, let's say one of those two they are the leading openers in the 4-day championship. Number one, do you see West Indies making a bold move to recall a tried and tested already Kyron Powell? Or if Zachary McCaskey is the leading opener, do you see us throwing the youngster right up there to getting his test debut in England?
I will go with Kieran Powell. Why? When they hear England test team, the first thing comes to their mind is buzzball.
Yeah.
And Kieran Powell style of play is excellent for buzzball. We seen we're in the old there, even though it's the Lissay competition, even though it's different from red ball, we seen where he's
That's
stroked
like
ball.
140.
Wow, you have 220 players going through a season and not even striking at 140.
Yeah,
And it
yeah.
was actually 30 plus. We need someone to dominate. He will give us a very rapid start and put England on the back foot. So we have Kieran Powell and Kurt McKenzie and Alec Alston at 4. When he forms back form, we will have 3 players in the top 4 who will put basketball borders under threat. And then we have Craig Brathwaite, and if you just stay there and just keep one end and let the others attack. That is how we're going to win against England. One person keep one end and let the others attack.
Definitely. And if we look at how England and even Australia approached this test match, which we're going to talk about, Australia made their 289 in like 60 overs or 55 overs at 5
Exactly.
runs per over. So it doesn't make sense. We're batting 2 days for 300 runs. And the opposition, England, they're going to score 400 runs in 1 day. So if we're
Exactly.
going to realistically think about winning in England, we're going to need some persons with a positive mind frame. Shandapal Brathwaite is either we're gonna if they bat the entire day, is one of two things gonna happen. Either we lose the game or we draw the game. So I guess what some might say then is in a 3-match test series, maybe we wear them down in the first test, wear them down
No,
in the second
no,
test,
no.
and then we
The way
win the third. It did work. Remember, England came here and it did work.
all right. Why you can't really compare those two situations, right? When England came to West Indies, they dropped James Anderson and Stuart Broad. That's number one. Number two, Joe was the captain and he was in horrible form as captain, and England was playing a defensive type of game. Now they
Totally
have Ben
different.
Stokes as the leader. They have James Anderson way, and they played more positive. So and what they're going to do, they're going to rotate their bowlers. I remember the last time I went to England to tour, 3 test match series. England changed at least one of their fast bowlers each game, while we kept the same 3. Once England realized that they bowled more overs than normal, and the bowlers are tight on their legs, they're going to rotate. They're going to rotate their fast bowlers. They're not going to play the same set of bowlers all 3 test match. So that strategy won't work with England. Ben Stokes is way smarter than that.
All right, definitely. And we can see that happening even now, England in India. But let's look at
Exactly.
Australia's batting now. So analyzing our bowling, we actually had Australia 54 for 5, and it could have
Right.
been like 68 for 6 because Shamar Joseph got an Alex Carey out bowled, but the bails were not dislodged. That was crazy. What is your thoughts on that? Where the
And
bails?
they
the bale spun, but it failed to, came out of the groove. Your thoughts on that?
The bays are too heavy. The bays are too heavy, to be very honest. And the off stump, I've seen, I may be biased, but I think the off stump was hit too firmly into the wicket. I mean, based on the speed, well, not the speed, 'cause I think that it was a slow delivery, but based on the pace,
No, that
a
was
bowler
around 137 clicks.
right, exactly. So that
It was
speed
the
and pace.
pace.
So right, so yeah, base too heavy, base too heavy. They need to go back to the traditional base. But what that also brings the question is if he's out, if he places his pad, his front pad out there, and the ball has hit the pad, he would have been out LBW. So it shows not because DRS Hawkeye shows the ball hitting the stumps means the stumps would actually be dislodged.
Yeah, definitely. So usually that is why you have the umpire's call. So a lot of time where less than 50% of the ball doesn't hit the wicket, then once it's clipping, we tend to go with umpire's call because these things can happen.
Right.
The umpire's call is very much fair. But what I don't like is, do you notice whenever teams go to Australia, umpires call are always in favor of Australia? I don't
Yes,
know if
yes,
I'm the only
yeah,
one that noticed that.
yes, I read that trend. 50-50 calls are always in favor of the big three when the six other nations are playing. Because really the big three versus the other six right now in Test cricket.
Definitely. And these 50-50 calls, it cannot be that, let's say, it's going to be clipping when a West Indian is batting. Umpire raises his finger. All of a sudden, when an Australian is batting and it's 50-50, he's thinking it's not out. Now, what could cause him to change his mode of thinking in the space of, a couple hours? So I cannot understand. But I want to ask you another question now regarding to Alzari Joseph. As we can see, he took 4 for 84, but in 14 overs. That's very good. 4 wickets in 14 overs. However, there was an interesting stat that an Australian analysis looked at, Jared Kimber, and he pointed out that Alzari Joseph, one of the best bowlers in recent times in terms of strike rate, has one of the worst average in Test cricket. Meaning, if you compare Alzari bowling 60 deliveries, he might get you a wicket, just like James Anderson, just like Pat Cummins. The only difference is Alzari wicket will come for 45 runs in his 60 deliveries, whereas Pat Cummins will be 22 and James Anderson might be 23. So Alzari's numbers in terms of average looks extremely awful. When you look at his strike rate, he's actually bowling very good. He's creating chances. He's just very expensive. What's your take on Alzari? Why is he so expensive in comparison to the usual attacking seamers?
All right, so number one, Azar Jose he bowls a lot of boundary deliveries, a lot of boundary deliveries. That's number one. And number two, a lot of catches that drop off him. Right, so yeah, his strike rate would have been even better if so much catches were not dropped off him. So I maybe think the case of so much catches being dropped off him, he loses his focus and concentration. So I think those are three reasons behind it. But you know what other Joseph brings? He brings rickets, but he also leak runs. So it's very obvious when the captain bowling him, he has to be wary of that. But Azar Joseph is an excellent option against very attacking batters. When attacking batters are batting, you bring Azar Joseph. However, when defensive batters are batting, I would not bring Azar Joseph because they will just rotate him and just play each ball on its merit. So I think Washington's captain is doing a decent job, but I think he needs to be more creative with how he uses bowlers. You have to use bowlers who have the highest chance of getting a batter out.
Yeah, definitely. Um, Now, fast forwarding to our second innings, we were rolled over for 193 all out. It was very disappointing. We got a decent start. apart from Shandapal going early again, as expected, because we had said that he should have been rested, but they didn't. And we saw what
Right.
happened. But let's not get into the Shandapal case. But Kurt McKenzie, Athanas, Brathwaite, they all had starts. Justin Grieve, Kavem Hodge. None of them kicked on. We got bowled out for 193. Yes, we improved, but how disappointed are you that none of them could convert to score a 50?
So, so this is where we are looking at the first class batting. This is the trend where they're batting first class. Say their average is 30, you realize most of their scores are basically between 25 to 40. So this performance is a reflection of what they do in first class cricket. They do not kick on when they get started in first class cricket, so that mentality transition. So even though they're defending stoutly and taking attack, the mentality of not kicking on to big scores is still there. And once they don't have that mentality of first class cricket to kick on, then they won't do it against the best of the best. So I wouldn't say disappointing because I mean it's a reflection of what they do in first class cricket. If you're not making 100 and 150 in first class cricket, then we'll go to international scene against quality bowlers. No matter what the batting pitch is like, you don't have that as an experience. So that is what happened. However, uh we letting Australia have to chase to win a game is really good. And what this also teaches us, when we're touring, we can't focus too much on experience. Why? Sometimes not when you bring inexperienced players, no experience, the opposition does not know what to expect. So that they bring an element of surprise. We've seen where with the batting, the Kurt McKenzie bring that up to the bowlers. We saw where Kevin Hodge does the thing and Justin Greaves. And then Kevin Sinclair. Look what Kevin Sinclair did. Half
And
century the first
debut.
game and debut. Right. So in the past, when we went to Bangladesh for the two tests, a lot of inexperienced players were there. We won 2-0. Several better teams went to Bangladesh with their strongest team and they lost the series. So to be honest, I'm saying to myself, maybe we needed more inexperienced batters because the experienced batters they did not pull the weight. The
Yeah,
Shonda part pull the
yeah.
weight, right? And yeah, so
Yeah, a lot of persons cursed us when we said, why, how can we drop Tej Narayan? How can we drop him? And the reality is we were saying rest Shandapal because whether you're more experienced, yes or no, if you're not informed, you're just not informed. You can't
exactly.
provide any benefit if you're not informed. So as you were saying, we could have went with either Kirk at the top, Da Silva at the top. Many people say, oh, Da Silva is wicket keeping, he can't open. Listen, Da Silva is batting before over number 30 anyways. So he's still basically wicket keeping and coming into bat right away. Like, look at this. Interesting stat. Shandapal was dismissed on day 1 and day 2. So that's crazy. Most times when you're playing a test match, if you're dismissed on day 1 and you bat again, you should be dismissed next time on day 3, day 4. Or you dismissed in 2 days back to back. What's going on? Not making any runs on day 1, not rectifying it in day 2. So,
And
in
what happened as well when when Australia declared early to bowl at West Indies, he basically he was out. If we
yeah,
had went to the next day not losing a wicket, that would have been a huge moral victory because
yeah,
Australians would have
definitely.
looked very stupid declaring trailing and not taking wicket. That was the reason why they declared to take one of the wickets in excellent bowling conditions.
I mean, how did you take Australia declare? I thought that was a little bit what's the term I want to use? I heard it on commentary. Braggadocious and bossy. That was a little braggadocious and bossy from Australia. Basically, they're saying, West Indies, we don't think you're better than us. So, yeah. we're gonna declare, we're gonna try to get in some overs because if it was, let's say, South Africa or India, do you think Australia would have
No,
declared being
no,
behind?
they would have just tried that, but part of the reason is ego. I think probably is also they wanted to be said that they were all out against the West Indies attack and they're behind. So they wanted to say, okay, we're trailing and we declared. So I think it's a psychological war, and West Indies would have won that war if they had not lost a wicket. Because if they not lost a wicket, the Aussies would have had to take 10 wickets the next day instead of 9.
Definitely,
And then
definitely.
the analysts and commentators have bashed them for more further for
Yeah,
declaring so early, and then that would have worried Australian players that the West Indies let them make stupid. You bowl them because you want to take a wicket. That did not happen. So that was a big miss by Craig Brathwaite and Chanderpaul.
no, let's know. Let me pose a serious question to you now. Australia needing 156 runs to win, 8 wickets in hand. Do you think West Indies we have a chance of beating Australia in this test match?
To be honest, one of the stranger things that have happened in cricket, we saw where top India team toured Australia and they were all out in 36 in one innings, which is very important. We maintain pressure. Pressure is very important. Good lines, good lengths, excellent feeling. That's very important. However, wow, if Shamar Joseph was there, I would say 80% would have won because the Aussies, they're not comfortable when Shamar Joseph is bowling against them. They're not comfortable.
Definitely, definitely. So because Shamar Joseph is not there, and we don't know how if he'll turn up later tonight. Let's hope that he turns up. Hopefully he's better. But if not, then it's highly unlikely we'll defend this 155. But let's look at now the batting. Let's look overall now for the two test matches. We can't really analyze the bowling as yet until the match is completed. But let's look at the overall batting. Look at the openers, Shandapal and Brathwaite. Together, 8 innings from our two openers. That would be about 27 and 34. That is like 61 runs. 8 innings, 61 runs. Kevin Sinclair, 2 innings, 64. What is that saying about our openers?
Well, openers, they're not performing. They're not performing. And the thing about it, I have a high respect for Craig Brathwaite as a batter. He's no captain. I remember there was a period where when he and Kieran Powell was opening, both of them were actually struggling as openers, and they decided to drop Kieran Powell and keep Craig Brathwaite. And Kieran Powell, which reason said, how can it be both of us are struggling, yet you want to drop me and not Craig Brathwaite?
Yeah, I remember. Around about 2018, 2019. And
Yeah,
Karen Paul
exactly.
was actually averaging 23 and Brathwaite was averaging like 14 in the
Yeah,
last couple of
exactly.
series.
Kieran Power was averaging more. That's number one. And number
Yeah,
two, he was batting with intent. Most of
yeah.
his time when he's out is because he's batting with intent. Craig Batting was just being defensive and poking around, and that places more pressure on Kieran Powell to get
The
the
score.
run,
Yeah.
get the runs scoring. So the selectors have to be very careful how they set reasons, how you drop players, and how you retain players.
Yeah, but let's be fair now. I mean, maybe at that time Brathwaite should have been dropped, but
You're right.
he is our number one test batter. So we definitely, even though he had a bad series, he's been doing well. We have to be honest. He's been doing well for a good while now. So it's only fair that we can allow him this one bad series. But I mean, the point we want for the viewers to understand is it really doesn't make any sense. We have two tentative batsmen that are gonna block, poke, get out, and that's it. I mean, there's no intent shown from Shandapal really. He dead bats. He pretty much dead bats right through his innings, and he scrapes a couple of runs here and there. But it's nothing to say, yeah, imagine, as a bowler, let's say both of us were to play for an opposition team and we're going to face West Indies. Shanda Paul doesn't give you that fear to say, oh, I'm going to bowl. I don't want to bowl a half volley because I'm going to be driven down the ground. No, you're going to run in and bowl whatever you want because you know that Shanda Paul, he's not doing anything for you to be, any bit fearful of whatever you're trying to experiment with. So I think that's the thing with Shanda Paul and Brathwaite together is that we lack that positive intent, as you were saying. But I'm looking at now the rest of the batting, right? Only 3 players will have over 100 runs, and only one batter average above 30. No, I'm lying. 2 batter average above 30, but Kevin Sinclair is really from the one match. But look at that. Kevin Sinclair from his one match averaging 64. Kirk McKenzie 34 and a half. What do you make of Kevin Sinclair? And I remember you were saying drop Shanda Paul for Sinclair because he's not
Yes, yes.
making any runs anyway. So you were
Right,
saying play
right.
the 2 spinners, and you were saying Sinclair is going to contribute more with the bat anyways. Now look at that, averaging
Right.
64 to
Right,
justify your
exactly.
statement.
Sinclair made more runs in 2 innings than what Shonda Paul and Brathwaite made in 8 innings.
Together.
They were together. So yeah, I mean Kevin Sinclair, he offers batting, he offers bowling. Well, although it was taken to the cleaners, but he can bowl good half spin, decent half spin, and he's an excellent fielder. So Kevin Sinclair in this test match was actually a three-dimensional player.
Yeah, definitely. Your comments now on Kurt McKenzie's series. Sum it up for us. Give
Well,
him a grade
well,
out of 10 with the bat.
I'll give him a 7 out of 10. It was very positive. He anything loose that was bowled by Australian bowlers was placed to the boundaries. But uh, when I was watching when he was batting, and there's this analysis where his launch angle a lot of the times is positive. That means when he's driving, his hand is in front of the ball and it keeps on going in the air. He needs to work on when he's driving. He needs to keep the ball on the ground when driving.
Definitely.
Right, because looking at that, I would bowl full to him straight and put close in, still the mid on, still the mid off, and then when he drives, then he will get caught. So that's a technical area I need to work on, and also need to work on his batsmanship, how to construct an innings. We need big hunches from Kurt McKenzie. So once he works on technical area of his launch angle being negative and building how to build innings, he's going to be a world class batter.
All right. No, this young man, Alec Athanas, you would have said that you wanted him to bat at number 3. I remember I was saying to you, I would keep him at 5 because in the series against India, he made runs at 5. And in our regional 4-day championship, he bats at 4, but sometimes I saw him batting at 5, and he was our leading run scorer at 5, but you wanted him at 3. You got him at 4. He's averaging 14, 56 runs. You're great for Athanas out of 10, and a reason as to what really happened for Athanas this series.
All right, so I'll give him a 3 out of 10. What went wrong? He was too defensive. Alec Altanas is not a defensive batter, and I see where I don't know if he was asked by the coach to rein in his aggressive style of play, but it was too defensive, and yeah, so lack of intent in his batting, and maybe batting. Well, if they wanted a 3, but maybe didn't accommodate to the number 4 position. But based on the players we had, he had to step up based on other players in the team. But I'm watching him very closely. When other players are available for the next series, if Atalanta is playing, he has to bat at 5. I think number 5 is an excellent position for him when the other players come in. He would play the same role Travis Head play for the Australian team in Test match. Number 5.
All right. Sounds about right for Athanas. But then the next man we're going to talk about is Kavem Hodge. Averaged 28.8, 100 runs in this game. Got his first international 50. The second best batsman for us. He bats at 5. What are you then saying for Kavem Hodge. Do you see him going to England? And also rate him out of 10 for this series. Not just the
Yeah.
second test, but the series.
I would say 6 out of 10. But you think with West Indies test team, what is needed, just like we see in the ODI setup, we need competition for spacing. The less persons who feel confident that they cannot be dropped, the more they will put in. I would say to Hodge and Altanaz, both of you batters, you're competing for number 5 position. So based on how you perform in how you, not when we look at performance, we need to look away from only runs and average. We need to look at strike rate, we need to look at mode of dismissal. If their mode of dismissal shows they cannot man the swinging and seam deliveries, do not make any sense to carry them. If they're making runs and the guy in a pitch is Georgetown, which is spinning from day one, and they're not making runs in a say
Then
uh, uh
Lucia.
a St. Lucia or a
Yeah.
Bridgestone does not make. So we need to look at not only runs, but context of how the runs are scored. So the analysis, I'll give instruction to the analyst, look at these things to see base and their style of play, where is this player suited to be carried on this tour. There's nothing wrong with having players who only choose when we're playing in subcontinent, and they have some players who only choose when going to senior countries. There's nothing wrong with that. And I think that is where we need to go to really perform better. We don't have batters who are equipped to play all type of bowlers and pitches. So we need to focus on what type of pitch will these type of players do best on.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. Johnson Charles in the Caribbean and also in places like England, Australia, he's going to score lots of runs in ODI and T20. But if you bring Johnson Charles to subcontinent, he looks like he cannot bat. But at the end of the
Exactly.
day, as you would have said, I love that you're alluding to it. Maybe we need to go about now analyzing or data, without just looking at runs and average. We need to look at strike rate. We need to look at mode of dismissal. We need to look at how much the average versus pace versus spin. We need to look at all of these numbers. I like that. Now, the next man is Justin Greaves. The question is, do you see Jason Holder or Kyle May as replacing Justin Greaves for England if they are available? And also rate Justin Greaves out of 10.
I just to give him a 5 out of 10. Wow, he was just in Greece. Wow. I think he has the tools to be a better all rounder. However, you see, thing with Kyle Myers, his bowling. We saw where he bowled in the Caribbean. He basically rips through the England batting lineup. So right now, I,
Exactly.
I see Kyle Myers and Jason Ola being ahead of Justin Greaves. But if Justin Greaves performs very well in for the original competition, he will keep Jason Ola and Kyle Myers very on their toes. And if you also they will be reluctant when test series is available and as a franchise, they will think twice about giving up their test spot if they're interested in having a long test career.
Well, no, I'm going to play devil's advocate here.
Right.
So, let's say Justin Greaves has a superb regional 4-day batting at 6. And also, he takes lots of wickets. But let's say Kyle Mayers and Jason Holder at the Mecca in the World Cup T20 finals, let's say they deliver something special, win the World Cup for us. They're in the groove, ready now to take on England, fresh off their World Cup victory. No. How do you make your choice then? You have two guys who would have won the World Cup and very experienced at test level, always been very good in terms of their record against England. Then you have Justin Greaves, freshly into test cricket, didn't have the best series against Australia, but had a very good 4-day championship. How do you then select?
Wow, that's a very difficult question. Very difficult question. Well, what I can say is, even though Justin Hughes may not make the squad of 15, he'll definitely be a reserve player. Right. So I mean, let's go with farm. I mean, T20 form has to translate to something, and yeah. So, but even though he'll be in the reserve, I'll let Carl Myers and Jason Oda know. Justin Greaves is in the reserve. So he's there to keep you guys honest. So if it's a three-test match series, we see where the first two test match, Kyle Meyer and Jason Order in the performance level that they should perform in. I'm dropping the one that performs worse and bring in Justin Greaves. But Justin Greaves must get at least a one test match in overseas condition based on his bowling style. I will see what you need to look at also. Buzzball does not work well against bowlers who bowl between 70 to 80 miles per hour, and they basically keep at a line and length. Buzzball likes pace on the ball. I like pace on the bat. So Justin Greaves offers that. Along with Kyle Myers and Jason Order, that is why I'm reluctant to have to let Justin Greaves replace one of them. Because Kyle Myers and Jason Order, they both between 70 to 80 and they swing and they let the ball to move. So
Yeah, and those
yeah,
guys get outrageous movement in
you're,
England.
you're right,
So
exactly. Especially Kyle Myers.
yeah, so it's going to be difficult to see what the selectors do. I really like Justin Greaves. I think he has all the attributes to be world class, but he still hasn't matured enough as yet in terms of consistency with bat or ball. Clearly the numbers show, but the potential is certainly there. Now let's look at Joshua De Silva. Before the series, many were looking at it and saying Joshua hasn't been scoring a lot of runs. Truth be told, he was struggling in South Africa A. Didn't make any runs against India, but he's our number one wicket keeper. And persons are upset because Joshua can bat. If you actually watch the games, he doesn't look frustrated. He doesn't look troubled. He doesn't look worried at all. He looks like he's gonna just get a big innings, but then he gets out of nowhere like a Shimron Hetmyer. But what's your score for Joshua De Silva out of 10? And why do you think Joshua just always finds a way to give away his wicket? Because we think this man should be averaging 45, 50. What do you
All
think?
right. First score, give him 5 out of 10 because we're very careful. He got 4 innings, he made 150 plus score. We have this tendency when players are struggling and they want to make 150 plus score, we say yes, we congratulate them or beat them up. We need consistency from Joshua De Silva. That's number one. Number two, I really think when he gets out, he's really lapsing concentration. I think he has a concentration issue because it's not a case where he's struggling or that before that particular delivery comes up. All this mode of dismissal against Nathan Lyon, that was really poor. That was a very poor shot. Yeah, I mean, he should be playing Nathan Lyon. Everybody knows you play Nathan Lyon straight. You don't play Nathan Lyon with an angle bat. So, you mean, you just lack of concentration and complacency. I think because he knows he's number one wicket keeper and the wicket keeper who they have a reserve won't replace him. So it's complacency. However, I believe if we have a rookie keeper in a 4-day regional who is young and scoring loads of runs, and that rookie keeper is in the squad, he will make runs. Joshua De Silva needs competition. There are some players when they're quality, they're not getting competition, they won't push extra to really make runs. So lack of
All right, let's
competition.
let's let's look at the wicket keepers in the Caribbean and see
Mm-hmm.
is it even possible for Joshua to be replaced? Because
Yeah, that's the
about
issue.
eight, exactly
They,
about 8 teams. Who are
you're
the
right.
wicket keepers there? Exclude Shane Dowrich. He's playing for Barbados, but guess what? Dowrich
He's
is
retired.
retired. He'd be the best option. Jamaica, it don't even make sense. You look at Chadwick Walton or these guys. These guys, they're not cutting it. So you can take any wicketkeeper batter from Jamaica out of it. Um, so again, Joshua is right up there. Jamar Hamilton, he's scoring runs, but he's quote unquote old. So
Right.
it's
So
difficult.
yeah, that's the thing. You see, I really wish Shane Dowrich did not retire. Because if Shane Dowrich was still there, then he would have been an excellent. Before Shane Dowrich was out of farm and was dropped, he was making some runs, making some decent runs. He was actually looking very decent.
Yeah.
So Joshua De Silva, I really hope very soon he gets competition. However, there is under 19 wicket keeper for West Indies. he seems very excited. So hopefully when the competition is over and he plays for the regional and he plays for his home side and he makes runs, that will keep Joshua De Silva on his toes and actually start batting.
Well, as you talk about under 19, we're going to touch on under 19 in a little bit. But let's talk about now our bowling. So far, we've been saying that our bowling has been competitive in this game. We got Australia to 289 after making 300. So we're getting like one wicket for 28 runs apiece.
Right, right.
And also, we have them, 60 for two now? And so we're getting runs at 30 apiece. But if you actually look at it, the bowling is basically suggesting that Roach and Alzari. Last time it was Shamar Joseph. This time it's Roach and Alzari. But really and truly, now you see why Jason Hole and Kyle Mayers is basically like a surety. Look at Justin Greaves' average.
Well,
And it was
54.
similar for the first test. And Moti, last time bowled 12 overs, didn't take a wicket. Sinclair now, 9 or 8 overs for 1 wicket. So again, our spinner and our fourth seamer not really cutting it. And so, of course, Holder Mayers seem to definitely going to walk back into the team.
Right, right. Well, I did not want that because, I mean, it's a possibility they may not make themselves available for a test series, for a franchise, not worrying about their spot. Because this is what basically what happened.
But the good thing, though, during that England series, there won't be any franchise cricket.
Right,
Just
so they'll be available.
they'll definitely be available, so we won't have to worry. There's no CPL either, so they'll be
Right.
available. There's nothing to worry about for that test series. But your thoughts on the bowling so far? Alzari, Kimaro, Shamar, they've been our standout bowlers this series so far. Kimaro,
Right.
very happy for him because usually he does very poor away from home. So your thoughts first on Kimar Roach, the overseas bowler this time round.
Hmm. I'm very proud of Kemar Roach. I mean, he found the right line and length and seems to be in good rhythm. Very happy for him. His average is very good, less than 25. Also for Azar Joseph, I mean, only to Azar Joseph, of course, would like for his economic rate to be a bit less. Better control, right? So if for tomorrow, based on the performance so far in this test match, I think it's best if we have only 4 bowlers saying that Shamar Joseph cannot bowl. You have to be strategic. He cannot bowl Kemar Roach and Azar Joseph, and then when they come off, you just Justin Greaves and Kevin Sinclair. So if Shamar Joseph cannot bowl, Kemar Roach at all point, either one of Kemar Roach and Azar Joseph has to be bowling and attacking, and then they ask Justin Greaves and Kevin Sinclair to basically hold an end. So have one ball attacking, one ball being defensive.
Definitely to dry up the runs. I agree. Dry up the runs from one end, attack from the other, and hopefully it lead to a collapse. And we see West Indies pulling off a miraculous victory
Right, right.
in
Whoa, whoa.
Australia.
I definitely love that. That would be great. That would be great.
Yeah, that would be excellent. But yeah, hopefully, whatever the result is, we're proud of them. That is all we ask for, that we show some fight. Because the first
Right,
test,
right.
we did not see any fight at all. We were just trampled over and it was too easy. So this is what we expect from West Indies, to have oppositions fight. Now, we're gonna move on to the under 19 World Cup. The under 19 World Cup, you said that you liked the young man, the wicketkeeper batter at the under 19 level, and you're looking at him as a prospect for future in terms of senior team. West Indies, however, we were eliminated today from the under 19 World Cup. We won our game the other day against England. We got ourselves up to second in the table. But this morning, South Africa smashed Scotland. And so West Indies were out on net run rate. So we played good cricket and we're out. It's very unfortunate. So your thoughts now on West Indies being eliminated
All
from the
right.
Under 19 World Cup?
All right. So in what I'm very proud of the performance. Yes, We did not make it in the next round. We were placed in a very difficult group, to be honest. I mean, looking at other groups, I look at the other groups that are there, and you could clearly see which two teams would have left based
Yeah,
on
that
the
is true.
quality. Right. So the mere fact that we're in a group, we won 2 out of 3 games, and the net run rate is not bad. 0.653. I mean, that's
It's
excellent.
excellent.
It's excellent. Right. So I'm very proud of them. I've seen where batters stood up. Joel stand up as a batter, very good. We see the bowlers coming through. So what we need to do, we need to ensure the players who stood up, we need to ensure that we don't let them go in the wilderness. We need to groom them. So Joel, we definitely need to groom Joel because he's class, right? And Nathan Seeley, another a bowler, he takes wickets and very economical, a left arm spin bowler. Wow,
The vice captain.
right. So we need to ensure that he does not go into wilderness because we need quality bowlers and quality batters. The all-rounders, West Indies are known to be producing all-rounders. We are known for all-rounders. But we think from this under 19 batch, we need to start capturing more specialist batters, and specialist bowlers. Right.
No, let's talk about the mode of our win and also our loss in the World Cup. One thing we noticed that was very common was oftentimes we would be 5 wicket down in 20 overs. So I didn't watch the games because I'm not gonna lie, I've been watching a lot of franchise T20. So, on the television, there's 2 games being played, the under 19 and the franchise league. I am watching
Right.
T20 and BPL and SAT20. No offense to the youngsters, but they'll have their time when we'll be watching them in the future with these T20 leagues. But one thing I noticed though, looking at the scorecard, we were always about 120 for 5, 130 for 5 in like 20 overs. So our run rate was always excellent, run about 6 runs per over. However, we just were losing too much wickets. What do you think about the youngsters just giving away their wicket?
Lack of concentration. Lack of concentration mean I think, well, these coaches in the Caribbean, I think they need to improve their creativity. We need to train our players to have mental fitness. I think that's the biggest issue with our players. They lack mental fitness, that's number one, and they lack the ability to adapt to situations. If we work on their mental fitness and work on situational awareness and adapting situations, we will see better results. They have all the shots in the book. They have all the class. Again, potential and class. Does that make any sense? If there's not good decision making skills.
Definitely, because even looking at that South Africa game, we lost and we had like 10 overs to spare. How can you have 10 overs to spare and not use up at least half more of those overs, 5, 6 more overs, right? So 10 overs to spare to get 30 runs is easy victory, but as you said, lack of concentration. So
Uh,
it's
Another thing
important.
I can work on to Ronaldo with that. We have this thing where when we make runs, we take this very risky approach. We need to develop batters who can make runs risk free. So we see batters, they come in, they look very settled, they get good starts, they're not struggling. Then one day they come and they're out because we, we need accumulators who
Shea
make
Hope, Virat Kohli.
yeah, oh wow, Shea Hope comes to mind. One Shea Hope is has a start. Opposition knows they're not gonna get him out. They know that because he's not gonna get his wicket. He keeps it very simple. He keeps the ball on the ground. Does not hit the ball in the air.
Well, one young man you spoke about was Joel Andrew, who he had an excellent World Cup, 3 matches, 3 innings, averaging 98, 100, and a 50. Only one failure in that Scotland game. You had that big 130 against South Africa. Almost steered us to victory. Strike rate almost 120. Had that excellent had that excellent show again against England. Um, Your thoughts
Wow,
on
he's
Joel
class. He's
Andre?
class. It is not every day you see a rookie keeper batting so well. So I
And he
hope he
looks up to
continues.
Shea Hope, by the way, just to point that out.
Right, right. So wow. Wow, I'm looking forward to Joel Andrew and Shea Hope batting the same team. Wow, he's definitely someone to look out for. I hope he plays for the regional 4 day, plays on list A to really continue that good work. I'm very excited about Joel Andrew. It's a name we definitely need to pay close attention to. Was very exciting.
Definitely. Definitely gonna watch him. We're gonna watch the captain Stephen Pascal as well. Definitely. As I said, I wouldn't have really watched the game. I would have only seen the highlights and the scorecard. So can't really go in detail. So I'll let you take over the floor. In terms of the bowling, what did you notice or anyone that stood out for you in terms of the bowling? This is our bowling performance. Sealy, as you would have pointed out already, did fairly well, average 18.5. James Edward. One young man I hear his name being thrown around a lot is Isa Thorne. I've been hearing that young man's name quite around, around the Caribbean, that he's the next big thing. He's the next hot bread. Persons even calling for him to get into the test team. What was your thought of Isa Thorne in the under 19 World Cup?
All right, so he's definitely an X factor type of bowler, but you have to be careful before rushing the players. You want them to mature and things like that, and like that. You don't want them too raw in your senior setup. So I would say give him time. Yeah, give him time. But if I were to push any one of these players, it's definitely Sealy. Wow, definitely Sealy. Well, I mean, excellent average, excellent economic rate, strike rate of 30. That means wow, basically every spell. He's basically saying once he goes a spell, he's gonna take a wicket. There's a strike rate of a 30, tells me. So yeah, I'm looking close attention to Sealy than Thorn right now, in all
All
honesty.
right. All right, no problem. You're gonna make a lot of persons mad with that statement.
Right, but guess what?
Person.
I'm more level-headed when it comes to my decision making, and yeah, we have to temper our excitement. Right, we have to let players grow.
All right, so I definitely saw a bit of Issa Thorne in the game against Ireland. I think Ireland emerged in 11. He looked good, but I always try for persons to understand that Ireland emerged in 11 is possibly worse than a high school cricket team in the Caribbean. No offense to Ireland, but I mean, I think we could send out a Trinidad high school team or a Jamaica high school team and possibly give Ireland emerging 11 a good challenge. So, yeah, definitely. But yeah, that's it for West Indies in terms of under 19 World Cup. We're not through, but as you said, we look forward to know what these youngsters have to offer in the future. So, in wrapping up, just want you to leave some closing remarks, Davian, on the Australia tour so far with all these youngsters.
Oh,
Overall, just give us like your summative assessment of everything that has happened in Australia, and who are you most impressed with, and who are you utterly disgusted by? Your
all
closing remarks.
right. So, looking at their performance, they the cricket, you have the batting, the bowling, and fielding. The fielding was above average, right? The bowling was above average, but the batting was very, very poor. Very, very poor. Yes, we had an innings where we scored 300 plus, but I mean, we scoring 300 plus runs in an innings, in every 4 innings, not going to let us win many test matches.
Yeah.
So we need to find probably a plan, a strategy, and how we're going to bat better. I think what's found out in 300 plus score, number one, have a session where we do not lose any wicket. That's number one. Number two, sessions where we lose wickets, do not lose more than 2 wickets. So yeah, I think if we come up with that plan on how to bat longer and bat with intent, the scores will be better and the bowlers will have something to bowl with. Who I'm most impressed with? I'm most impressed with Kevin Sinclair. I mean, he came in the second test match under pressure. He scored a half century. I mean, he took catches of Azar Joseph. We have fielders struggling to take catches of Azar Joseph.
Yeah.
And you're right, he was taken to cleaners with the ball. He took a 1 wicket. So, right, I'm looking forward to Kevin Sinclair continuing his test career. Utterly disappointed with, I would say, Craig Brathwaite. I felt in the second innings of this test match, seeing that we have a lead of 22 runs, I expected him to stand up and lead his team to an imposing total for the bowlers to defend. If he had made a big score in this innings, that would have been a hallmark of his captaincy for West Indies. Beating Australia. Wow, we have not seen that since the 21st century. So, yeah, that is my disappointment.
Yeah, definitely. Not gonna make any comments. I just agree with that statement with Brathwaite. Too many persons are at our head, so
No.
I
The thing about our channel, we want our channel to be about we expressing what the commoners are not saying. We're
yes,
expressing our perspectives. I mean, if we're saying the same thing that everyone is saying, I mean, why would person want to watch us?
that is so true. So let's go ahead and say it then. I would say I'm very disappointed with Tejnara and Shandapal. Very disappointed. Extremely disappointed. Getting out in similar fashions from the warm-up game to the actual matches, and I didn't see any adjustment. I mean, we saw Steve Smith realizing that he was going too much across, and he made a subtle adjustment in the innings yesterday. And Steve Smith is a world-class batter, and if even he can acknowledge when he's doing something wrong, why is it nobody saying anything to Tej Narayan? Or I don't see anything to say that he wanted to adjust something about him to look to
But
score some big runs in the second test. So
this comes down to the lack of situational awareness.
definitely. But for me though, in terms of most impressive is definitely with the bat, Kavem Hodge. And I know many persons might not like it. They might say, oh, Shamar Joseph or Kevin Sinclair. But I think Kavem Hodge is one of those batters that I can't tell when was the last time, apart from Craig Brathwaite or Joshua De Silva, that we've had a batter that faced over 150 deliveries. Kavem Hodge has showed that he has the ability to stick around and he can get through difficult periods and also score some runs. And, I'm very impressed with Kavem Hodge in the second match. He was poor in the first game. So looking forward to seeing what Kavem Hodge has to offer for the regional 4-day championship. And hopefully he does well so he can go to England. Because otherwise, if Kyle Mayers exceeds him with the bat and take a lot of wickets, or if Kyle Mayers does well on the T20 franchise circuit and says, I'm ready for test cricket, Holder and Mayers might cause Kavem Hodge to be back out of the squad. So you never know. But yeah, definitely. But thank you again, Davion. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you for Ronaldo. Wow.
Yes, we're gonna have so much more to talk about. We definitely have to talk about Shimron Hetmyer again in ILT 20, really struggling. We have to talk about Nicholas Pooran, Johnson Charles doing well. We have to talk about Evan Lewis smashing 53 from 22 in BPL and
Johnson Charles, Carl Myers, watch out. And Brandon King, watch out.
definitely. So we have so much more to talk about. Also, to let the viewers know, next week we'll be going live, so they can come with their questions and we're gonna have a very fun session in the live. Lots to talk about, lots of questions coming in, and it's just gonna be amazing. So To the viewers, just look out. Lives are coming. Next week, first week of February, it's coming. It's only going to get better and better. So, Davion, we got to get out of here. Hopefully, we
Right.
stay up, support the team watching now the final time. Hopefully, it's going to be the final day 4. I can't see it going to day 5
No,
unless
never believe, you know.
it,
With the attacking nature of these Australian batters, no,
yeah, it should be finished today. But remember, you made a bold prediction that the match was going to be a drawn match. So before you leave, you have to state, do you think we still can draw the game? Remember, before the game, you said we were going to draw. We were going to
Right.
learn from the first test, but draw the second one. So go ahead. Can we still draw this game?
Well, it's very unlikely. If you see, if we had batted, if we were still were batting on 4th day, then we'd have drawn. The opportunity was there to draw the game because the pitch was out. I think yesterday was the best day for batting, but the batters did not capitalize on their starts. I mean, so I think that's the biggest lesson the batters need to know in this series. You get a start, you push on. Do not leave this for someone else. And
Definitely.
that is where I can respect Craig Brathwaite highly for. When he gets starts, he push on.
Definitely, usually. Well,
Right.
all right, viewers, we leave it here. Thank you for tuning in. Lots more videos to be coming forward. Lots more. We have so much more to talk about. So much more. So thank you, Davion, again for
Right.
your expert analysis. We leave you to it, and we'll be in touch very soon.
Take care, everyone. See you next week.
All right, Davion, take care.